10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Looks like we're live.
Hey, let's get it.
And welcome back, as always, to your favorite podcast, Coaching Carlos on Roku TV, Amazon Fire, YouTube, all your favorite social media stations. You know where to find us, man. I got the coach with me, Coach Kirk Broussard. What's going on, Kirk?
Already, man. I'm good, man. Ready to get it in,
I'm
man. These college football playoffs been announced, man. I'm stoked.
as you should be, and
You,
I know. I'm just saying, I am. I mean,
yeah, you got the volunteers in it.
we first round, but I think they did my boys dirty. I do. I don't think that we should. I think we should have been hosting the game, but we're gonna get into that.
Hey, man.
Um,
If y'all get past this first round, please just beat Oregon. That's all I ask.
Hey, I thought you were a Florida guy, so why you what you got against Oregon?
I hate Oregon, man. I mean, I live in Oregon. My
Yeah.
wife went to Oregon. My mother-in-law went to Oregon. My sister-in-law went to Oregon. The whole
Okay.
damn family went to Oregon.
So everybody's against you.
Yeah.
Sound like
Yep.
it in the house.
Basically.
Well, let's jump into it, man. College football. Before we get to the brackets, you had a entertaining week of the college football championship week, as they call it. So all the conference championship games. We did see almost an upset in the game that Alabama fans are still mad about, with SMU losing to Clemson, and Clemson kind of backdooring into the college football playoff. Next thing you know, Alabama's out of there, replaced by Clemson. You also had a pretty good game between Texas and Georgia, which my pick is, that's the SEC championship game, supposed to mean more down here. But we've seen a game where it looks like Texas is vulnerable. Texas can't seem to beat Georgia, but we'll say that for another day. So now the college football is set up. The brackets have been set. Let's talk about it first. I think the biggest game, but the best game of the opening first round is going to be Tennessee versus Ohio State. The Vols are going to be traveling up to Columbus. We're going up to the Horseshoe. It's going to be a primetime game Saturday night. I'm kind of biased on this, Kirk, but I'm going to give you my honest opinion on it. But I'm going to let you go first. What do you see in Ohio State? Two very big brands, Ohio State football, Tennessee football. How you see that one shaking out?
And Nico, I think the game is gonna depend on Nico. I think he's the X factor. I think at this point he's no longer a freshman. He's a sophomore. Nope. He's played the whole season. He's been in an offense. He's got to take the next level as a passer. And Ohio State, I mean, you're playing against some of the best DBs in the country, 4 stars, 5 stars. Yeah. It's going to be difficult, and like I said, I feel like the Tennessee defense and Nico are going to be the X factors. The defense is going to have to get at least 2 takeaway. They're going to have to be 2+ in the turnover margin, takeaway turnover margin. So, those are some of the things I'm going to be looking for. I feel like Heupel can out game plan Ryan Day. I feel like he's a better coach than Ryan Day. So I would give Tennessee the advantage in that. But I still feel like Ohio State has a little bit more talent, and Nico's going to be the X factor. If he has a good game, he's able to make some plays down the field, at least loosen up that defense, then I think Tennessee can pull it out. But it's going to be tough. But I would give the edge to Tennessee. I think it's going to be a very close game. I would say Tennessee by 3.
I like it. I echo what you said, but I want to start somewhere with Tennessee. I think a lot of people are used to seeing Josh Heupel in a high-flying offense. They used to us scoring 40. They used to us, hitting hooker to Jalen Hyde, 3 or 4 touchdown bases. This year, this team has been predicated by its defense. The defensive line has got after it. They rotate 10 to 12 guys on that defensive line. Nobody plays over 10 to 15 snaps. They're fresh. And they're all 300-pound, 6'5" guys that's able to get after you. That's one of the main reasons they were able to beat Alabama. That's one of the main reasons that they took that step up in class this year, because years previous, yes, we had the offense, but we didn't have the defense to match. So this year, it's almost like reverse. Nico had a chance to catch up, get out of those growing pains as a freshman, and get through some tough stretches. It was stretches where He looked absolutely terrible. I'm not gonna lie to you. Against we didn't even score a first half touchdown against what, Florida, against your team, Florida, against Alabama. We didn't score a first half touchdown, and I think the team Arkansas. But after that, he's really settled down and settled in. He's starting to find what makes him that unique talent that he is. He's using his legs a little bit more, which I've always advocated for him. He's such a uber gifted athlete. Sometimes you got to use your legs. That's what makes this offense special. When Hendon Hooker came in and he was able to, get that draw play where he was able to hit it for 10, 15 yards. That's such a wild card in the offense that they're going to go deep at least a few times a game. Another underrated aspect is Dylan Sampson. This guy is one of the most underrated running backs in all of college football. He ran for 1,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, broke the Tennessee all-time touchdown record. So if they can hold serve on the ground, if they're able to control the line of scrimmage, and I think that's something they can do against Ohio State. Also, on top of that, if that defensive line is able to get out the Will Howard, we've seen what Michigan was able to do. They uglied the game up against Ohio State. For some inexplicable reason, Ohio State didn't decide to use those athletes that they have and try to get them down the field. So Tennessee can do the exact same thing, and they can do it better. They can do absolutely better than Michigan. They're a more talented team than Michigan is. But we know that Michigan and Ohio State are rivals, so no telling how much they were in their head, whatever you want to call it. But I definitely think, Kirk, that I'm not saying this as a guy that's based out of Tennessee, but I definitely think Tennessee has the upper hand. Outside of playing in the shoe, and don't give me this, another thing, Kirk, I don't mean to go on this rant. I hate this whole thing. Well, the Southern teams were not used to playing up north. Knoxville is not that far from Columbus. It's 32 degrees in Knoxville and it's 35 in Columbus. Don't give me that crap. I don't care. Like Coach Heupel said, name the play, we find out whoever we're playing. But I definitely think Tennessee can and should win that game.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think the weather would be much of a factor. I mean, if anything, I'd be worried about Nico being is he from California, Hawaii?
Yeah, California guy. Yeah.
He's kind of throwing the ball in cold weather. That could be a factor, but he should be used to it by now. But yeah, I see that being an extremely close game coming down to the wire. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think you may be looking at about a total 40, 45 points.
Yeah.
But I think Tennessee can pull that one out.
Let's talk about some of these other teams because I told you I thought Oregon, out of all the teams, to be the number one seed, have a potential path where you got to go through. Looking at it here, you're gonna have to go to the winner of Ohio State and Tennessee. After that game, you're probably gonna have to go through a Texas team. And then you look at the other side of the bracket. You got Penn State going up against SMU to play Boise State. That's an easy draw. For a team to be the 6th seed and to get that draw, I don't like that. I don't like the fact that I think Notre Dame was seated a little bit higher than they should have been, but hey, they don't play in a conference. They get to get away with it. And Georgia's kind of interesting now that their starting quarterback is hurt. So what do you think about the bracket overall before we get into some of the other game? Because I know a lot of people have really been turning into it about some of the inconsistencies that the committee showed this year. And for Oregon to have potentially a tougher bracket than like a Penn State or a Georgia, and they're the number one seed. What are your thoughts about that, Kurt?
It's just one of those things to where when you have a committee, you have room for human error and you have room for a lot of opinions. So as long as you have that in place, you're never going to satisfy everybody. You're never going to make everyone happy. So there's going to be complaints. I think the committee did a pretty good job of matching the teams up. I looked through the bracket and I was pretty pleased with the way they matched everyone up. I think you could eliminate all of this discretion with all the technology that we have with AI and all this stuff. If you had a computer system that took strength of schedule, took how much you won by, took all these different aspects and blended them into a system done by a computer, I think you would get less room for error, and I think you would have a lot less complaints. I don't know why there's a committee in place to do this anyway, when you got people that clearly have former affiliation with different college teams, and there's going to be bias and favoritism. Although they're not supposed to have that, it's human nature. to have that in place.
Kirk, they
So
got this. They got the sitting athletic director of Michigan as the head of the committee. Like that
exactly.
just doesn't look. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. It's not a good model. But to your point, a computer system isn't that the old BCS? Didn't we have that today?
It is,
Isn't
but
that same
if you
thing?
remember when we had the old BCS, we did not have AI technology. We did not have um I think it goes beyond just strength of schedule. It goes
Mhm.
like matching up teams that have ranked highly. Say for instance,
Quality
if a team,
wins and losses and
yeah,
things like that.
no, for instance, if a team ranked highly with run defense all year,
Hmm.
but you look at their schedule and saw they played terrible running teams all year, well, that's a
Yeah,
stat that's not completely accurate because they didn't
yeah.
play good running teams, but they're ranked top 5 in run defense.
Hmm.
But I feel like a computer system could go to the next level as far as breaking all that stuff down and crunching those numbers and giving us more accurate matchups.
I do agree from the standpoint that when you look at what they did this year, the committee did not do any favors to themselves going forward because now, if I'm SEC, like Alabama, all right. So Alabama played what Wisconsin in the I think who else did they play in the non-conference schedule? They played some pretty good teams. Then you look at a team like Penn State who played like a couple of like Villanova and like Massachusetts. Like, what is the incentive for me as an athletic director, say for the University of Alabama or University of Tennessee, whatever the school is, to play these tough matchups in the non-conference schedule? If Indiana can get in and their toughest battles is going to be against the teams in their conference, and they're getting the benefit of the doubt, then why in the hell am I, as the University of Florida, gonna play USC? Why am I gonna play Notre Dame? Because my schedule softer is a better chance for me to get into the college football playoffs. And that's what I really hated about it, Kurt. When you don't highlight these teams that actually schedule tough games and you put in an SMU who has 11 wins, but none of them over the top 25 teams, you're almost saying do not schedule these tough games. And that's what those 80s are going to do. You're not going to see a lot of these good matches that we've been seeing over the years past.
Yeah, I mean, and that goes back to the system I'm talking about. When these ADs schedule these games, if you're able to say, okay, hey, based on this schedule, you have to be at a certain score as far as strength of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't meet those requirements, you're going to have to go perfect the whole season to even be considered for the playoffs.
Yeah.
You'll see ADs scheduling harder games because they know they have smaller margin for error if you don't put the harder games in. You put a weak schedule up, if you don't run the table and go undefeated, you will not get in the playoffs.
I 100% agree because we we got to get back to the matchup. But we can talk about this all day because it's so frustrating to see teams that you look at their schedule, you're like, man, of course, if again, I keep using Florida. If Florida, put Florida in the Big Ten, give them Iowa's schedule, you guys will probably be in the college football playoffs. That's how good I think Florida would have been towards the end of the season when they started getting. But when you play in Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, things like that, you have I have no incentive to get a tough out of conference game because I'm playing a gauntlet in my schedule. But anyway,
Yeah. I
let's
mean,
go back to the matchups.
Florida played what, 8 top 25 teams,
Yeah, that's
so
crazy.
that's the hardest
That's
schedule in the country.
tough.
Yeah, so
SMU, what's another matchup we got? Let's go back down the list here. SMU, the ponies are back in it. They're going to be taking on Penn State,
yeah.
Happy Valley. It's going to be a good old-fashioned December game up there in Happy Valley. What do you think about that matchup, Kirk? I'll let you start there.
Watching Penn State against Oregon, and that's really the first time I've really watched a full Penn State game all year.
Mhm.
I just feel like they have a really, going in before that game, I thought they had a strong defense. Now Oregon has this warp speed offense that nobody can slow
Yeah,
down.
I do it against anybody now.
But I mean, their defense was just like non-existent. I mean, what did Oregon put up? Like what, 40, almost 50 points,
45, yeah, something like
45
that.
points.
Mhm.
So SMU, I mean, they got an offensive guru as a head coach, play caller. They're going
Yeah.
to put up some points. Penn State is going to have to bring it. And I kind of looking at that game, man, the matchup. I think I see SMU maybe edging them out. And again, I think that'll be another one-score game, and goes back to I think the committee did a good job of matching these teams up.
It's hard to trust
Messi
James
just scored.
Franklin, man. Yeah, I see it now. I don't remind me. I didn't want to look up. I see my phone flash. I see, Anyway, Kirk.
Dang.
I have a hard time trusting James Franklin. Now I covered James Franklin a lot when he was coaching down here at Vanderbilt, and to see the things that he did with a Vanderbilt team that hasn't done good until now since he left, and that was back in 2014-15. I knew he was a good coach, but he's one of those guys that's good but not great. He never beats the teams he's not supposed to. He never beats Ohio State. Maybe beat Michigan once every couple of years and things like that. I don't know if it's a big game for him that he has trouble in, but not a big believer in James Franklin. I do think they'll pull it out against of SMU though.
The true sign of a good CEO as a head coach is a coach that can identify young, talented coaches and replace their coaches when they lose coaches. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at him over the years. He's lost Derek Mason. He just lost Manny Diaz. Manny Diaz left, right? So his new D coordinator, I know he came in with some high accolades, but it's hard to replace those guys. If you ask me, he should have reached back and brought Derek Mason back up to Penn State with him.
He's coaching down here at MTSU now.
Yeah. So, I think SMU is going to edge him out. You're right. He struggles to win the big game.
I'm gonna go Penn State only simply based because they're playing in Happy Valley. If they were playing in Dallas for SMU, I would have went that way. But I think that SMU is a good team, but their home field advantage is going to be a little bit much for them. I think Penn State comes away with that one. They got a pretty good quarterback. I really like that tight end hybrid guy. They got that Warren kid. He plays a little bit in the backfield, plays out wide sometime. I think he'll be the difference in that game. So I'm going to go Penn State on that one.
Yeah, you may be right. Penn State's a hard place to play.
Yeah, and I don't think SMU is ready for that. Even though I know they play the big places, but I think that Penn State will probably get that one. So I tell you, a weird kind of anomaly that happened in this game. Two Indiana teams. You got Notre Dame and Indiana. So did you ever get a chance to see Indiana play this year?
I saw them against Ohio State, unfortunately, and they didn't look too good. Yeah,
I think that's when the whole world's seeing them, and nobody was, impressed thoroughly.
It's tough to believe them because they haven't played nobody all year, and when they did play a formidable opponent, they got trashed. Yeah. So.
But Notre Dame had probably the worst loss out of this entire field to lose to Northern Illinois at home.
Yeah,
in South Bend. That was early though. It wasn't like third week of the season or whatever. Don't get me wrong, but I mean that's a horrible loss. Like to shoot all the way up to number 3, and I still don't like Notre Dame because they don't. You get to make your own damn schedule. You get to do whatever you want to. I just never liked that about them. Yeah. I don't like that about them.
I don't.
But I think I'm gonna pick Notre Dame in that game. I do think from what I've seen, I think the Indiana they have a very good offense. I've seen a lot of good things, and I thought we scored again. That's one of the highlights. I almost got happy now. I think Notre Dame's defense will rule the day on those guys. I think they'll be able to slow down Indiana, and the Hoosiers will have a short playoff appearance this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. The Cinderella story will be over with.
In
Notre Dame, that's going to be tough. Notre Dame has been clicking since that loss. I don't know if he went in there and gave him a good cussing out, but they got it turned around. So I think Notre Dame's too strong, especially at home.
Yeah, and with even being on campus games, I think the atmosphere is going to make a big difference, especially for some of these teams that's not used to being in those situations. Like I said, SMU, Indiana, you're going to play at these cathedrals in December for the first ever playoff appearance game. Like those crowds are going to be off the chain, man. There's going to be some stuff we never seen December home game. So that's why a lot of these advantages I'm giving to these home teams going into these battles.
Yeah.
What else we got? And we also have Texas versus Clemson, which I think a lot of people, Texas like a 11 or 14 point favorite in that game. Like nobody's buying Clemson out there this season that they had. Like they backdoored their way in. They shouldn't have been in.
I don't
But
know
you
how
know,
they won the ACC. They got lucky.
man, they backdoored. If I ever seen the team go back, but I mean, they won the AC, and that's another thing they got to change, Kurt. You got to change this whole format where you see the automatic bids go in for the winner of the Power Five conferences, because there's no way that Clemson should be getting in, and stealing bids from other teams. I think if you win the ACC and you ain't supposed to be in there, you shouldn't be able to steal a bid from a team like Alabama or South Carolina.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they deserve. They won the conference. I mean that they don't.
You
That's
don't
the
get a. You shouldn't get an automatic bid though, man.
They found a
No.
way to win the conference. They deserve to be in. I think they're gonna get killed because their quarterback is just not the answer. They guessed wrong on that quarterback.
Klubnik's not horrible. I've seen him grow. I mean, like what? He went threw for
But
over 300,
he
ran for a
was the
couple
number one
touchdowns last
quarterback in the
game.
nation. He was the number one quarterback in the nation. Does he play?
Well,
Has he played like the number one quarterback in the nation?
I won't say that he is, but
He's
a
been
lot of those
serviceable.
number one quarterbacks don't ever live up to those billings, though. You know, him and Quinn Ewers actually played against each other in high school for the state championship. I seen that today.
Okay.
So it's almost a rematch against those two Texas guys going against each other. But Klubnik's not bad. I mean, to me, they don't have the guys offensively. They have too many slow guys running around on offense. You can beat up on those ACC teams, but when you get that elite SEC or Big Ten speed running at you, those guys are not separating no more, man. You're not getting those extra yards after some of those runs. So they're dragging in the mud. Texas is going to kill them.
I think Texas is good enough to beat the heck out of them. But, I mean, going forward, if Texas goes up against a high-powered offensive team, they're going to be in trouble.
So let's look at this. Texas, if they win, let's say they beat Clemson, that will go against Arizona State. Arizona State has been putting belt to ass for about the last month here. They beat the holy hell out of all the teams they played over the last month. Did you see that running back they got? Scatterboo, or what is his name? Scatterboo?
Yeah, he's nice.
I mean, that contact balance that kid's got that's something I haven't seen in a long time. He gets hit, it just keeps going.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's going to be a tough game for them because not only does Arizona State have enough talent offensively to put up 30, 40 points on them, they got a great play caller. And that guy comes and brings a lot of energy and intensity, and it goes overboard a little bit. But, man, I mean, he's got them clicking. They're clicking. So, I feel like they can beat Texas easily. They can knock Texas off, especially if they get pressure on Quinn Ewers, because when he got pressure on him, he makes a lot of bad decisions.
That is his downfall. I think that guy I think he's got everything else NFL talent, but he's a statue back there. He like you said, he makes bad decisions. He does not have the athletic ability, and it surprises me to get himself out of those jams, those little runs that you have to make, those scrambles. When the pressure's in your face, he folds like a lawn chair every time.
That's what I'm saying. The ability to sit in the pocket and complete throws with pressure in your face, he doesn't have it. So don't be surprised if you see Arch Manning come into this game and finish this game.
Yeah. No, you bring up a great point. And I think that did you see the way that they utilized him a little bit in the previous game? They starting to slowly kind of creep him in the situation. And let me tell you something about Arch. A lot of people think they see that last name Manning. The kid got some wheels. He's athletic. He can actually run the ball. He's not a bad athletic quarterback.
No doubt about it. Yeah, he's got some wheels and he's got some grit. Actually, I think he's a better prospect long term for him. So
I think he could be a Cowboy. Okay, let me not get excited before I say some stuff like that. So that's how I break down on the college football playoff for that first round. Remember, the first games are not going to start up until December the 20th. So we got a couple of weeks before those games kick off. But everybody's excited. I can't wait to see it. This is the first time that we're seeing something like this. And I just hope it lives up to Bill and Kirk. I think we've waited for this for a long time to finally have something in place where a lot of teams have a chance to do it. And I think this is going to be one of the more exciting things that's kind of happened in sports in a long time if you're a college football fan.
Yeah, I think the ratings and revenue are going to be at an all-time high. This is going to be December's a pretty good sports month. I think October's probably a good sports month because you got NBA NFL and MLB World Series, like all
Yeah,
going on in the same month. So,
it's all
but
come together.
December, man, it's gonna be a pretty hot sports month. So,
Can't wait to see it.
yeah, ratings and revenue.
Yeah. I looked up actually me and my friend buddies, we looked up tickets of going to the shoe.
I don't even
And
want to.
man, no, no, man. I was like, I got humbled real quick. I was like, I'm not spending a good grand on a nosebleed seat to be cold and watching the game from way up there. I stay my ass home and watch the game from home in the comfort of my own, you know.
Only they got it set up now. The lawyers have got it set up now to where only the rich can go and watch sports live on a major level.
I mean, like I'm talking about 1,000 was bed seats, Kirk. Like I'm talking about you put your hand up, you dapping the good Lord up there, you giving him a handshake. That's how far I'm not paying no $1,000 to sit up there. Are you
That's
crazy?
ridiculous. Yeah.
Speaking of money, this is a good time for a good transition. That's why they call us professionals, Kirk. Let's talk big money. Let's talk Juan Soto, 700. What was it? $65 million,
Insane.
15-year contract.
Insane. Biggest contract in sports
Man,
history. Yeah.
let's get ugly at baseball.
He can take that money and go back to Dominican Republic and take care of the whole island.
For real. For real. He could buy the island almost at that point, man.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking to Bobby before we hopped on here, and my thing is that you don't want to sign a guy to that long-term contract. You don't want to see what that guy looks like. What is he, 25, about 40? If you are a fan of baseball, you remember the Albert Pujols contract.
Yep.
And he signed a big 15-year contract. By the end of that contract, my man, he was just dragging that leg up there, hitting the ball, and it wasn't pretty towards the end of that. So, but baseball is weird because you don't really have that salary cap in place. You can pay these guys as much as you want to, and these contracts keep getting bigger. Who's to say one day we're going to see a $1 billion contract in baseball? I'm saying it now. We're going to see a $1 billion contract.
One thing I've learned, because I currently work for a sports agency, is that when you see these mega contracts like that, it's more for the optics of that number. They know that the player's never going to play the full duration of that contract or even reach anywhere near that number. He may get half of that. He may play his way into half of that amount, which is still a lot, but he's never going to close. He's never going to come close to $750 million. Just not.
What is a baseball all guaranteed though? I thought that
75. His signing bonus, I believe, is $75 million, and then the rest of it, it is front loaded where the bulk of it is getting paid early on. But a 15-year contract, that guy's going to play maybe 8 years into that contract.
So I did see that they have a 5-year option in there too. So he could actually opt out 5 years into the contract, and he's only 25. He can opt back out at 30, hit the market again if he wanted to. Let's say things don't work out. I don't think that's a smart move for both sides. If I'm on the side of the Mets, that's a really long-term investment to take. In 5 years to this thing, maybe you win a couple of championships and you say, you know what, I don't want to pay the rest of this contract. Or Soto, he may not want to play for the Mets that long. So smart from both sides on that front.
A lot of it is just so the agent can stick his chest out and say, hey, I got a $750 million deal. They know he's not going to play. He's not going to get that.
Yeah. So, look, baseball, the rich keep getting richer. Another thing I was talking about, one thing I'm not understanding with these baseball contracts, like let's look at the Los Angeles Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani only made $2 million this year out of his $800 million contract. So they are deferring like $50, $60 million each year from his contract. And I didn't understand how the economics of that work because you still got to pay it. Does it still kind of get your roster? You still got to pay the threshold for the tax. I don't get that part. I gotta look more into that, but I don't think it counts against their payroll, but not against the threshold, if that makes sense. Something like that. I don't know.
It seems like it would still count against your roster. I mean, your salary cap, or
that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it counts like for the tax purposes or how they do it, because the Dodgers got like 5 or 6 guys like that they're paying these crazy backloaded deferral deals. And but their payroll is still like the highest in the league, but it's not where it should be. Like these guys should be having $1 billion salary cap, but they're only paying like $250 million a year in their total contracts, some kind of way.
Yeah, a friend of mine played MLB. He was younger, and he had a wild lifestyle, and his brother talked him into deferring his contract. Now, dude is like in his
Smart.
40s, and he's glad that he deferred it
Hell
because
yeah.
he's like, if I got that money when I was young, man, I would have went through it. Yeah,
It remind me of the Allen Iverson contract with Reebok. You know, when they said, "Hey man, AI, you can't
yeah,
touch this 50, man, until you make it to what was it, 45, 50 or something he had to make it to,"
yeah,
because they knew young
yeah,
AI was a bad boy. He was a wild boy. He was
yeah.
gonna have some fun out here.
Hey, his wife kept it G though, because he she could have had all the money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he made a deal with her that he would fly right, and if he didn't, she would take all of the money. But
Ooh.
so he didn't fly right,
Yeah.
and she still gave him most of the money.
That's
She
right,
kept
man. Good for
yeah,
her. You know, come on. He the one that made the money. Yeah, he ain't perfect, but you wouldn't
yeah,
even had this lifestyle if it was for him. I don't know. You know, that's why I think
exactly.
that stuff is sticky
Yeah,
right there.
yeah,
But Juan Soto, man, 765 million. Shout outs to these Yankees fans. I know you guys are hot. The Yankees actually offered $5 million less, they said,
mhm.
1 year more on the contract, but he decided to become a Met instead of a Yankee, which is weird to me because he played last year with the Yankees. It's always weird to me when guys switch teams like that for a team that they were playing for.
I think he should have took the Yankee deal because the money he would have made off the field being a Yankee player would have been
yeah,
way more than what he's going to get as a Met, just for his popularity of being a Yankee and the potential that the Yankees have in the postseason. You know,
yeah. I'm always a friend of, well, not a fan of it, but I always think it's smart, like you said, to sound with the big brands because what you're going to be able to make, like you said, through endorsements, through legacies, through like you said, I'm always going to sound with the Lakers instead of signing with the Kings. Are you crazy? I'm always going to sound with the Cowboys instead of the Chargers. You know, it's just legacy teams. You're going to make money just by name association with those teams.
exactly, exactly. Yeah.
So real quick, man, jump back to some football stuff. I just want to highlight a couple of performances because I know we're not going that long this week, but two performances. I'm going to go quarterback. I'm going to try to pick different positions as the season progresses. But since we're first doing this, I want to highlight the differences in quarterback play. So let's talk about Josh Allen, his performance against the Los Angeles Rams in a losing effort. And I don't want to make sure I shouts out to Matthew Stafford too, man. That guy still can sling it. I know he's older, but the guy throws with tremendous confidence and ability. I love to see Matthew Stafford play. But Josh Allen, what was it? 6 touchdowns yesterday, 3 running, 3 on the ground, 3
Yeah.
passing.
Yeah.
That looked like an MVP performance yesterday, Kirk. And again, he lost it. They lost the game, but they shouldn't even been in that game towards the end of it. And that guy had him right there.
Yeah. I don't see how they could lose a game with that kind of offensive output.
Yeah.
That's beyond mind-boggling to me. But yeah, man, I mean, he deserves a lot of credit. I mean, the guy can really sling it. He's next level. There's only a few quarterbacks in the league that can do what he does. And man, that's a performance for the ages. I mean, that'll go down as one of the great ones.
I think people forget how big he is. He's like a defensive end.
Yeah.
Like 6'5", what, 240 or something like that, you know?
Yeah, like not 240, probably like 6'5", 230,
Okay.
235.
But
Probably
still,
230.
like, I mean, that guy coming towards you, he's running the ball.
Yeah.
He's everything in that offense. And I doubted Josh Allen a lot. I didn't think that he would ever become receiver of his passes with the. I knew he had some athleticism, and of course, I'm not gonna lie, act like I was one of those guys who was watching Wyoming tape when he first came out. I knew nothing about this guy, and to see him come in and what he's really grown into, and doing it in a tough place to play it, like in Buffalo, like harsh weather conditions. He shows up each year. I got to give Josh Allen a lot of credit for how far he's coming. It wasn't his fault at all that they lost that game yesterday.
No, definitely not. That's on the defense. But yeah, man. I mean, like I said, Allen, Mahomes, those guys, they're in a certain level. And like you mentioned earlier, I mean, Matthew Stafford, he can still sling it. That's kind
Yeah,
of one of the last things you lose, that ability to really sling it.
yeah.
You get to a certain, you'll hit a wall like Drew Brees did, where that arm kind of goes limp noodle. But Matthew Stafford still, hell, the way he looks, he's got a couple really good years left in him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the arm talent is there. He still got the arm strength to get it where it needs to go. And I got to get the Rams to, if you really look at them, that's not a bad team over there. They could make some noise. They could beat some Puka Nacua on one side. You got Cup. The running back's really good. If you protect Stafford, he can put up 40 on you, if everything goes well in the game. So shouts out to Matty Stafford. But let's talk about something on the other side, something I noticed yesterday, Kirk. I noticed the Eagles team that a lot of people are picking as the chief rival to the Detroit Lions. And when I looked at the stat line of the game, they barely beat the Panthers. Panthers been playing a lot better. They took the Chiefs down to the wire as well, so got to give them credit. But in a game that they only won by 3 points, Jalen Hurts only threw for what? Barely over 100 yards, maybe 110 yards. Yeah. There seems to be friction with him and A.J. Brown. Him and A.J. Brown definitely have something that's going on between the two guys that things are not working. They showed the tape. It was a couple of times A.J. Brown was wide open, absolutely wide open, and Hurts takes off running, or he dumps it out of the backfield to Saquon. What is wrong? I don't want to say, I'm saying, what's wrong with Jalen Hurts right now? What's going on with him?
I don't know, man. Again, it goes back to leadership, Sirianni. It's his responsibility to put the right coaches in place to mediate that type of behavior or those type of issues. When you got a receiver like A.J. Brown, they're going to demand the ball. And when they don't get the ball, you're going to hear about it. So you got to have a plan in place to work your way around those type of situations, to work your way around that type of friction. And why Jalen Hurts is not making the right decision, or, not really, getting the ball to his weapons like he should, it could be scheme. I don't really know. It could be defense. And like you said, the Panthers are playing a lot better than they played earlier in the season. And I think, they're just somebody's lit a fire. They're more competitive. So, again, with the leadership they have in place, I don't know if they can get it back on the right track. I hope they can. Jalen Hurts seems like a pretty, level-headed guy that doesn't have an ego, that could, get back on the right track, because they got a lot to play for. They got a lot of talent, and I would hate to see that flush down the toilet. So,
well, I don't want to take away from the fact that they won the game. I think, what are they, 9-3, 9-4, or 10-3? So they're probably likely going to win the division. NFC East, it's not a good division this year, so they should definitely make the playoffs at this point. But when you start to be that good and the record looks like that, and you're going to make the playoffs, you get to start making projections, right? You start to think about playoff matchups. You're not going to win a game in the playoffs throwing for 100 yards. It's not going to happen. Saquon can break the all-time record this year. He can run for 2,000 yards. He could be the MVP. But again, if I'm projecting this in the playoffs, when you run up against a team like the Lions, when you run up against maybe the Vikings or teams like that, you got to have to throw the ball. You're going to have to let it go. And Jaden just doesn't seem to want to release it. And that's what the argument is. You see the guy open. Why are you taking off running? Like, what is it? What's the mental block? Because it just seems like it almost. I see what A.J. Brown is saying. Like, what you got against me, man? Why you not throwing me the ball? I'm wide open. You see I'm open, so I can see why that's a problem for him.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
You never liked Sirianni, though. You never liked Sirianni, Kirk. Every time you come on here, you're like, well, let's talk about Sirianni. Let's point back to him.
He's just inconsistent and all over the place, man. And he doesn't. The example that he puts in place for his players, is just a poor reflection of what good leadership should be. So, again, to get them back on the right track, doing the things that they need to do, that's gonna depend on leadership. So,
last thing I'm gonna say about them, to look at their play balance, though, they're running the ball almost 3 times more than they're throwing the ball. And again, that's a recipe for a lot of winning in most cases that you're gonna go. But if you're throwing the ball 15 times a game, you're running it 45 times. It becomes predictable. And again, you're going to run into a team that's going to stuff their box. They're going to have good enough athletes that, as good as Saquon is, he's not going to be able to get that outside. He's not going to be able to do some of the things that he did in the regular season. So I don't see why they don't see that coming. And that is on Sirianni. I agree with you there. Sirianni, his offensive play calling, that's got to change. Absolutely, if they're going to make a run.
Yeah, Barkley's going to have a flashback like he's back in New York. when they load that box up on him and he's getting stuffed. you know,
There's no
and
there's
it's
no way.
coming. It's
Yeah.
coming. Yeah. So,
All right, man. I didn't
yeah,
want to
bro.
do this, but we gotta talk about it last to recap this game that we just seen in front of us. The Cincinnati Bengals have defeated the Dallas Cowboys 27-20 in the game that was here's some offensive firework in it. And Kirk's I don't like this grin on Kirk's face because he knows I'm a Cowboys guy. He knows that Kirk, I don't care this season. I was telling Bobby, hey, it doesn't matter this year. We lost our quarterback, play for the draft pick. That's all I really care about. I know guys
Hey,
got pride. I don't care. We're not good
I'm,
this year.
I'm just waiting to get off this live and go see what Stephen A just said about y'all. Because I know Stephen A digging into y'all right now.
I mean, we easy pickers right now. Again, Cooper Rush, limited ceiling, right? He's only going to give you so much. I mean, I'm surprised we were able to put up as many points as we did. The running game has really come alive for the Cowboys. I give the offensive line credit. They were challenged over the last 2 weeks, and they responded. Dowdle's had over 100 yards the last couple of weeks. But going back to what we was talking about last week, one of my biggest disappointments have been the Cincinnati Bengals. And you barely beat a depleted Dallas team. You need the last drive of the game to squeak past them. But I don't think the Bengals are making the playoffs anyway. So we're just doing a lot of just playing out here.
We just watched two teams that likely will not be playoff teams. I mean,
Yeah.
but you guys are going to have to address the elephant in the room. You got to get a serviceable backup that can actually win games, and that's easier said than done. But what are you gonna do? Are you gonna keep rolling with Dak? I mean, you paid him, or are you gonna press the reset button and go in the draft?
That's the problem, Kirk. I knew when we paid Dak, I said, man, that's the worst thing we could have did. But it's one of those situations that you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. You got to pay this guy because he's earned it. He's done enough to warrant that he deserves that next big contract. But now the Dallas Cowboys are so top heavy. We still haven't paid Parsons. We just paid CD Lamb. You don't have enough room to pay all these guys and have a complete roster at the end of it. So, like you said, do you roll the dice next year, trade Dak? Rumblings of Arch Manning saying that he wants to come and play for the Dallas.
But in the last 3 years, has Dak completed a full season more than once?
The last couple of seasons he was last hurt, not including this season. If you say this season, yeah. If you include this one,
he's been season before last he got hurt.
Yeah, season before last he got hurt again. I think towards the end of the year. So, but it was later on in the year. It wasn't. No, well, we went 12-5 the last 3 years. So let me make sure I'm understanding that right. I don't think Dak's been hurt the last 3 years.
But no, I'm saying he's been hurt at least 2 of the last 3 years, counting this year.
Oh,
he's completed one full season.
Yeah, Cooper Rush came in and played, I want to say 5 or 6 games last year for us, and we still were able to complete. Cooper Rush hadn't been playing bad. I don't know what happened this year, but he looked serviceable last year. He won games when Dak was out.
We can't blame Cooper. Dak is injury prone, is what I'm trying to say, and I would not have paid him.
So you would have
injury prone.
So you would have just let Dak walk, have a horrible season. And Jared's not in the business of that.
I would have drafted quarterback 3 years ago.
Of that. This is Jared Jones we're talking about, Kirk.
I would have moved up in the draft and got me a quarterback 3 years ago.
Hell, I want us to get Penix. I want us to get Penix coming out of Washington. I thought that
I would not be spinning my wheels with Dak Prescott as my quarterback. Can you imagine if you had Penix Jr. now?
That's what I'm saying.
You got anything that's into Atlanta to save the season?
Man, if we could have had him. If we could get Arch Manning. Arch wants to play in Dallas. He said it. The grandfather said it. Archie said it. Archie Manning Sr. said it.
We don't know if Archie Manning is going to be a good pro. I don't even know if he's going to be a good pro, and I've been watching him since high school. I'm not sold on him.
You don't think he's going to be at least better than when he's fully developed? I'm not saying now, of course, because he's still on a freshman quarterback. But with all his pedigree, everything that's around, you don't think that he would be a decent NFL quarterback?
I love his pedigree, but I've watched him since high school, and I have seen nothing to show me that he's potentially going to be a great NFL quarterback.
Wow.
His uncles, he won't supersede anything that both of his uncles did. No way. I don't see it.
Okay, so I don't know how we got here, but the athletic ability already is better than he's already more athletically inclined than Peyton and Eli ever was. I'm
But
not saying that that has anything to do with his arm talent and things like that, but the arm talent seems to be there. You think that his mental capacity will be the same, if not too far off of Peyton and Eli, because he's in the
he
same blood. So I would
he's
think,
he's a better athlete than both his uncles, but
right.
he is not. Well, you can't really compare him as a decision maker, a thrower. He's not at their age. Let's just put him back at their Peyton at his age, Eli at his age are both by far better throwers than Arch is. Now you say Arch is a better athlete, but he's not some generational Michael Vick type athlete that's going to win games with his athleticism. I don't
But
even think he's not even Steve Young caliber athleticism.
But that should make up for some of those things, like you said. If he's not as arm talented as maybe his uncles, then he can make up for some of that with his athletic ability. He's actually going to be able to get out the pocket. He runs like Joe Burrow. He can get out the pocket when he needs to. That sneaky athleticism, whatever you want to call it, he's able to use that to his advantage. And I think the jury's still out about how good he's able to his ceiling for his actual arm talent and his decision making skills. But I don't see why I'm not going to count him out. It seems like you kind of count him out a little bit, man.
He might be a first-round pick because everybody's so desperate for quarterbacks now. They overdraft guys that shouldn't be first-round picks. So I'm not saying he won't be a high draft pick. What I'm saying is if you pick him, he's not some generational talent that's going to turn your franchise around.
Nico
I put it like this.
Nico or Arch?
I put it like this. Dak Prescott's career is and will be more successful than Arch Manning's career ever will be.
Come on, man. You can't say that right now. You can't say that right now.
Is a better talent than Arch Manning's ceiling.
Kirk, I cannot. Lord willing, we come back to this conversation 5 years from now. 5 years from now, you are doing a lot of projecting for a guy.
I'm never wrong.
He's a freshman, Kirk. He ain't even tapped half of his potential at this point.
I said Jameis Winston would be a career backup. I said Johnny Manziel would be a bust. I said Marcus Mariota would be a career backup. I call it every year. I said Jadeveon Clowney would be an average player.
You also said that Kyle Trask was the best quarterback coming out of that draft class, and Kyle Trask I don't even think he's on the roster at this point. What year was that?
He's the backup quarterback for the Buccaneers.
Okay, great, but he's not starting. Who else came out that year? What was that? 2021, I want to say.
No, this is like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, yeah, it's 2024. So about 3 years ago.
Who's better than Kyle Trask from that draft class?
I got to look it up because you know Kyle Trask is not the best quarterback out of that. Because all those guys that went first round.
Kyle Trask, to be fair, has never gotten a good opportunity. He was behind Tom Brady, who won a Super Bowl. What do you expect? He's not going to start over Tom Brady.
No,
and then you bring Baker Mayfield in here, who's actually played pretty well at that time. He's never gotten a fair shake.
Okay, so Kyle Trask was drafted the 61st pick in the 2021 draft. So let me see who was the 2021 draft quarterback selected. And then we're gonna leave on this though, because you made a lot, you have made some right predictions, but let's not act like you got every one of them right. You're not little Nostradamus over there. You haven't got all of them right, Kirk. Come on, man.
What have I got wrong?
I'm looking at this draft players because
there was one I got wrong. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh,
so Trevor Lawrence came out of that. To be honest, I can't say that Trevor Lawrence was the best. Has been the best since he played in Jacksonville. Zach Wilson came out of that class.
Okay.
Justin Fields has come out of that class.
Okay. He can't even. He's
class.
Horrible.
Mac Jones.
Kyle Trask is and was the best quarterback in that draft.
He's not the best. You cannot say he's the best, though.
Okay.
I mean, he was better than some of these.
Second string quarterback.
Off a bad class, Trey Lance was in it. Damn,
Justin
this was a
Fields
bad.
Can't even throw the whole route tree.
Justin Fields is probably the most proven. Now Trevor Lawrence is. You got to say Trevor Lawrence is.
I mean, Fields can't even complete the whole route tree. They got to dumb the playbooks down just to put him in. Justin Fields.
He started a lot of games, Kurt.
Not my 35-year-old Russell Wilson.
But he still have seen the field way more. Kyle Trask can't even make it to the
He
field.
went to
Baker
a bad
Mayfield took his spot.
situation. If Kyle Trask had
But
went to a bad situation, he would have saw the field earlier. He went and
if you,
sat behind Tom Brady the Super
I
Bowl
get
year.
that. He didn't beat out Baker Mayfield, though. Baker Mayfield came there on with like a 1 year, 2 year deal, prove it
Kyle
deal.
Trask is the
You
only
couldn't
one
even
with a
beat him
Super
out.
Bowl ring. Kyle Trask is the only one with a Super Bowl ring.
He didn't. Oh, yeah, great, Kirk. He didn't win that one. He got one about a Kirk, Tom Brady's jock strap. But yeah, sure.
He's been sitting behind the GOAT. What do you expect?
You got that wrong. I'm sorry. You got that wrong, man.
No,
But
I did not get that wrong.
You got that wrong,
The
Kirk.
jury is still out on Kyle Trask because he hadn't been given a fair shake.
Kyle Trask will never be a starter in the NFL. Sorry to break that news. He'll never be a starter.
I disagree. Okay, look, what I said about Kyle Trask is Kyle Trask will be the equivalent to Brad Johnson, a good pro, not some Pro Bowler. I never thought he'd be a Pro Bowler. I thought he could be a good pro that can win games.
Yeah, and it makes him the best quarterback in the whole the draft.
It was a weak draft class. You just named all the quarterbacks in that class, and everybody you name is horrible.
It was not a good draft class. I sit up here and say from the guys that we just named, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, it was a pretty shitty draft class. But if you can't see the field, then you can't say that.
How many of those quarterbacks that were drafted in that draft are still with their original team that drafted them?
Let's see. Trevor Lawrence is some kind of way.
We know about him. What's their record this year?
Well, he got hurt. You know, the guy's not out there right now.
Before he got hurt,
he wasn't doing the best. Zach Wilson is no longer with the New York Jets. Trey Lance is no longer with the San Francisco 49ers. That's
Fields
true.
Got traded.
God, man, this is Mac Jones is with the Jaguars. This is a horrible class. And you look at some of the guys that got picked before these guys. Think about Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Penny Sewell, the All-Pro left tackle for like everything. All the other positions were great, but the freaking quarterbacks was horrible in this draft, man. I don't know, Kirk. I just can't agree with you on that one, man. I just can't give you that. He's maybe better than some of these guys, but he's not the best out of this class. He's serviceable, but until he sees the field, Kirk, I can't talk about the guy. Until I see him making starts where I can judge him and see, can't judge him.
Okay. In his past draft, I said Penix Jr. was the best quarterback in the draft. So we'll see how that works out.
I'm not mad at you though, because I think that Penix was one of the best. Now Jaden Daniels, I think you can make the argument that he's going to be the best out of this class.
In 3 to 4 years, Caleb Williams won't even be with the Bears. They're going to move on.
No, Jaden Daniels. I'm talking about Jaden Daniels.
Oh, I take that back. I said Jaden Daniels was the best and Penix was second. I'm okay.
I can rock with you on that. Okay.
But Caleb Williams, he won't even be with the Bears in 3 or 4 years.
I don't think that's his fault what's going on up there, man.
That's the quarterback the Titans picked. I thought he'd be a bust. The kid
Levis. He's
be a bust.
Butt cheeks. Yeah, he's no good at all down here. So I get it. Quarterback is hard to pick. And if you don't have one, you in the desert of the league because you're wondering, you don't have any direction with your organization. But man, if you get it wrong, like Tennessee, the Titans down here, they scored 6 points yesterday. Couldn't beat the Jacksonville Jaguars with Mac Jones throwing 2 to 3 interceptions yesterday. And Levis was starting. So if you get it wrong, man, you are. And the good thing about the Titans is they drafted Levis the second round, so they don't have to do that player option thing with him. They can get rid of him, and they're gonna have a top 5, top 10 pick next year. So they'll be on the clock again. But you gotta get it right. You gotta get it right at one point, and if you don't, this is what happens.
Yeah. What do you think about Bryce Young?
I am so happy to see him get a second chance at this thing, and he's actually doing well with it. I think that certain teams I hate to see quarterbacks go to, especially a guy that's going to struggle due to his size. So you put Bryce Young in there, like, for example, 49ers offense, replace Brock Purdy. I think he would have been just fine. I think he would have been better than fine. He'd be better than Purdy because I seen Bryce Young play Alabama against Tennessee. The kid has got some goods in him. But when you go to this bad organization, it does not give you any talent around you, does not give you the offensive playmakers that you're going to need. Of course, you're going to struggle. And you're going to pull the string on this guy and not give him the chance to get himself out of that, to just pull his confidence. I am so happy to see Bryce Young get a second chance. And I hope that guy goes to a different team. I hope he kicks Carolina's ass down the road. That's what I hope.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Good stuff.
So that's what it is, man. So, hey, if y'all haven't seen it by now, me and Kirk, we're doing this each and every week. We're going to try to be way more consistent than we've been. We're on all your favorite platforms. You see the stick in the background. Now, Kirk kind of got me, y'all. I am not a Tennessee Titans fan, okay? I live here, cover the team, all that, but I am a Dallas Cowboys fan. Kirk got a picture of me the one time that I lost a freaking bet.
Hey.
I had to take a picture, and Kirk finds it some kind of way and puts it on a poster, y'all. Look, that's what we're doing.
I covered the Titans up, and if you just look at the panels on the top, it kind of looks like a cowboy jersey, like that throwback cowboy jersey that y'all wear.
You got it right. You got it right, Kirk. I'll be damned. You sure did pull that off. I'd have told everybody what I had on. Dang.
Yeah. You see the S? You can say that's the boys. You know, it looks like that throwback cowboy jersey. I love that jersey that you guys have too, by the way.
Yeah, that's one of the best jerseys in the game.
That's my favorite jersey.
We got to do that one day, man. Let's break our top 5 jerseys in the game. I think that's a good show topic, man. We should do that one time.
Yeah, let's do that.
But let's wrap this thing up, man. Kirk, tell the people where they can find us, and man, our sponsorship, what we're trying to do.
Hey, you can find us on all social media platforms. Anywhere you get your podcast, you can listen to it. You can watch it on Amazon Fire. You can watch it on Roku TV. All you got to do is download Search TV on the Roku app, and it'll be available to you like that. If you want to sponsor the show, have your company name dropped, any type of ad read on our show, just DM me, or you can contact me by email, and then we'll get your information out about your company.
All your local businesses, man. I know a lot of people doing things, small business people. We're looking out for you guys. We want to highlight one of you guys maybe once a show. I know people that do candles. I know people that sell different things. They on Etsy, things like that. We are the people that we want to talk to. We want to talk to you guys, be able to give you a platform to be able to do your thing while we do our thing, and we all make sure this is the best a relationship can be. So if you're watching this show on Surge, Amazon, whatever it is, holler at us. We'll have that information out here, and me and Kirk will make sure that you get your money's worth on this. So on that note, it's been a great show. I love doing this with you, Kirk. Bobby in the background, appreciate you, man. Big ups to you. Final words to Kirk Broussard, the coach.
Yep. And if you like the show, please consider subscribing to the show. Smash the like button. It's free to do it. And please share the show.
Share it, put it out there, and let us know, man. Hit us up. Like I said, we got plenty of ways to contact with me and Kirk. We talk sports like we do right now every day, man. We're on your social media, Twitter. You can find me at Los Paige. Same thing for Facebook. Kirk, what's your handle again?
I'm at Coach Kirk Broussard, pretty much on all social media platforms.
All right, people, that's where it's at, man. So we look forward to doing it again next week. As always, Coach and Carlos, man, we'll holler at y'all next week.
Out.